When we went back and realized that the pattern of everything that he had experienced as a child, including eating green vegetables because that boosts testosterone, were just methods of his body trying to become who he was meant to be.
Hello, my name is Dr. James Runnels, Baton Rouge native, internal medicine, emergency medicine doctor, and the proud parent of a transgender man who is now a PhD student and a Rhodes Scholar. I'm here not as a medical expert, but as an ally, and I want to say that what you've heard from the last 9 witnesses has been truth and experience. The previous witnesses, by and large, were scaremongering, misinformation, and agenda. The reality is that transgender realities are difficult. They are medical issues that need close, long-term medical care from compassionate physicians. And there is not a boogeyman or a boogeywoman out there who is providing inappropriate care to minors without parental consent. That's simply not happening. It can be hard to keep up with all of these advances, and we really do need to rely on experts such as Dr. Pasternak to help guide our opinions in these matters and make sure that we don't pass legislation that does more harm than good. When we first learned of our son's transgender condition, it was difficult. We didn't expect it, and the process of counseling and transitioning was hard, and it took us a while to come to terms with it. But we listened and we learned, and we got a lot of education in the process, and we are all, especially him, much better for it. His life has blossomed, whereas before he was under all sorts of other difficulties. It is critical to debunk these mischaracterizations of rampant hormones and surgeries being performed with minors without parental consent. That's simply not true. As an emergency medicine doctor, I know that I can treat a minor who shows up in the ER right then and there for emergency conditions, whether or not we have consent, but we have to slow down and pause very quickly and catch up with consent the first chance we get. Thank you for listening.
Hello, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today and for hearing my opposition to this bill. My husband spoke at the last session, and so I'll just build on what he said.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Julie Doucet from Lafayette Parish. I am a lifelong resident, as are all of my family members of Louisiana. I am the stay-at-home mother of 4 children. 2 of them are married. One has served proudly in the Navy. And then our baby is our transgender child. From the jump, when he was an infant, he cried and cried and cried and had anxiety and would never sleep, and we couldn't figure out what the problem was. We took him to specialists and neurologists, and he had brain scans trying to figure out why he couldn't sleep. Then as he grew, he got to sleeping, but his food choices were odd. They were always like green vegetables, raw green vegetables, which, if you know kids, most kids don't like to eat those things. And then the precocious puberty. All of those things, once we figured out that he was transgender, when he came to us and told us that he was transgender, when we went back and realized that the pattern of everything that he had experienced as a child, including eating green vegetables because that boosts testosterone, were just methods of his body trying to become who he was meant to be. His brain does not match his physiology.
Hey, thank you for coming today. Just a reminder, when that yellow light comes on, you have 30 seconds. So don't want to cut anybody off. Just want to make sure you get your point across too. All right, next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Peyton Rose Michelle, and I'm the Executive Director of Louisiana Trans Advocates, which was shouted out earlier by the supporters of this bill. You got to hear that we have a healthcare provider list, which provides queer people across the state with providers that are affirming. And you heard, I think, I don't even know the number, but you heard that they say we have over 100 providers. Some context, the vast majority of those providers, I would estimate like 80 to 90% of them are mental health providers. The very few remaining percent are mostly primary care physicians, and only 3 people on the list are surgeons, and 2 of them are out of state. So that's some context on our healthcare provider list. To zoom out a bit, that shows that there is so little ability to access gender-affirming care already. In some ways, it is already banned in some areas, I should say. I also would like to note the gentleman that was sitting next to Representative Furman, he represents the Alliance Defending Freedom. SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, identifies that group as a hate group. So I think it's really interesting that the sponsor wanted to align himself with someone identified with a hate group. I also wanted to mention really briefly, I feel so... My heart reaches out to Chloe and Prisha, who shared their experience with you, as they did also share their experiences with state legislatures across the country. I think somewhere around 20 other state legislatures. So I think all in all, that shows that this is an organized attack against the rights of so few people in the state, and it is inappropriate. So please oppose. Thank you.